Coming up today, we'll be talking to one of the greatest characters in automotive history. Ack Miller will be along to tell us some of the funniest stories we've ever heard. We'll have more from the Oakland Roadster Show. And we'll go for a ride in a 68 Camaro. All that and more coming up next on World of Collector Cars. World of Collector Cars is brought to you by
Kimberly-Clark, makers of Noah, and now new Desktop Softest Flannel Fabric. Desktop is the newest fabric from Kimberly-Clark, featuring incredible softness and breathability, plus 4 layers of protection for your pride and joy. Noah and new Desktop car covers from Kimberly-Clark. Rare Parts of Stockton, California. Rare Parts supplies suspension parts for all vehicles from 1930 to current year models, specializing in collector car suspension and small run manufacturing. Rare Parts, available through jobbers and repair and restoration shops across the country.
The World of Collector Cars is funded in part by Steel Rubber Products. Steel Rubber Products, manufacturing weather stripping and molded rubber parts for Chrysler Corporation, Packard, Independence, and General Motors Cars and Trucks. Steel Rubber Products, making parts for fellow hobbyists for nearly 30 years.
Introducing the new X-Side Orbital maintenance-free battery. The X-Side Orbital has been dropped, dragged, and drilled to prove it's tough enough for anything and perfect for your collector car. The new X-Side Orbital battery.
In the early 1950s, Ack Miller had already been a hot rodder for many years. He even had a hand in helping found the NHRA with Wally Parks. In 1953, he hand-built a hot-rodded road racer, especially for La Carrera Pan America, the Mexican road race. Now, reportedly, he spent about $1,500 on this car. Then he proceeded to terrorize everything in the race, especially Ferraris. He finished 8th overall in a race that most cars don't even finish. And as we discovered in our latest run-in with Ack Miller at the Oakland Roadster Show, he's a wealth of historical information.
Well, of course, this is Ack Miller, and the car we're staying in from is the famous Iron Horse. And we interviewed Ack a couple years ago at the California Hot Rod Reunion in Bakersfield. And at that time, you told us all about this great car and how it was built and how you put it together, and some great stories. But there's one story that somebody told me about that I want to ask you about, and that is it has to do with a car rental and the salt flats.
Yes, I remember that. You're talking about the Studebaker somebody had rented. I'll not mention the company. However,
Please don't.
Yeah. They had rented the Studebaker, and a friend of mine had a Pontiac. And we didn't have anything to do with running the jet car, so we were down on time. And finally says, well, let's see who's got the fastest pit car. Yeah, let's go. So immediately, they ran the Pontiac, and I remember vividly it went 121 miles an hour, which is pretty good for the V8 Pontiac. So this guy comes up, and he had a brand new Studebaker. We called them booby shakers. And so anyway, this guy said...
Now, this is the rental car, right?
The rental car. He said, am I ready to go? And, yep, here he comes. He's up to 89. He's really hitting it now. He's up to 97. And he just got up to about 100. Now it, no more. So he stopped. His name was Bill Taylor. And he come up, he says, Ack, what can we do to make that thing run? I said, well, I'd throw a little nitro into it. So he got the nitromethane.
This is a rental car.
This is a rental car, and he pours the nitro in it, and he says, you know, I'm going to smoke him today. This is the next morning. So he comes out and gets on the track, and the announcer says, and here we got the Studebaker. It's taking off on the downward run. We had to run 2 legs. Downward run, he's into the first mile, 92. He's coming into the second mile, 103. Wait a minute. He's pulling out, he's smoking, and he ain't gonna make the 3rd mile, so he pulled out, and there she was. So we went up there, and when you hit the starter button, that thing had no compression at all. So he says, what the hell are we going to do now? We rented in Salt Lake, so we called Salt Lake to Hertz, and says, we got a car out here that won't start. We'll send our boy out with a toolkit. Out comes this young kid, you know. Where is it? I said, it's sitting down there about 3 miles. It won't start, no. He went out there and he go, you know, the thing had no compression at all. And this poor little kid says, gee, I don't know, fellas, but I think this thing is hurt pretty bad. It don't have any compression. So they put it on the big tow rig and towed her back into Salt Lake. Yeah, it didn't like the nitromethane. And I might add, it never even came close to the Pontiac.
This was 1953, right?
Yes, right, 1953.
Have you rented a car from this company since?
No, but I have one other thing. The one I really like is where I was at a road race. I used to do a little road racing. And the guys were around the swimming pool, and they were drinking a little. And we got talking about aerodynamics and sealing of the modern engine. They had a brand new VW, and this guy said, you know, them things won't sink? I said, well, I didn't know that. He said, and there's an argument ensued. Will they sink or won't they? And this Van Revenlow was his name. He says, well, hell, let's try it and make sure, get a timer. So we got a stopwatch, and we pushed it into the swimming pool. So he called the guy and says, yeah, this is Hertz. We got a car out here that won't start. I will send the man right out. Well, I was watching this. This is the funny thing I ever seen. He says, is that our car down in the bottom of the pool? I said, I don't know, but I know it won't start. So I don't think he is able to rent a car.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. Now, Ack, who's this guy walking up here?
Okay, this guy walking here is the daredevil that rode with me. Now, he didn't like to drive.
Carrera Pan America, we're talking
yes,
about?
we're talking about 1952, 3 and 4.
3 years.
And by the way, he picked up a wife in Mexico, and he now has 2 real nice kids. One of them's a doctor who's going to operate on both of us if we have the chance, yeah, on a bypass. This is Doug Harrison. And Doug is a fantastic machinist and a guy that can do anything with nothing. And that's why he worked for me, because he got nothing, but he did everything. So Dougie was my head man. And when, you know, he rode all the way down there, and then we turned that puppy around, and he rode all the way back. And by the way, when we brought it home, it drove home by itself.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah, that car went 5,500 miles, we figured. That car went and came home. And it still run good.
Round trip.
Did you do a lot of the work on it, Doug?
Most of it, I think.
Yeah, he did, yeah. And he even, we reboarded it once in Mexico, and see, he's the only guy who can speak Spanish. So how the hell are you going to ask for a torno? He's the only guy who could do it, a nut or a bolt, and then he rebored it. And Doug is a good machinist. He knows how to operate boring. Well, that's what he does, is build engines.
I know when I interviewed you before, you told me all about how the car was built and everything, but you said it was real popular in Mexico.
Oh.
What do you think made it so popular? Was it the noise or?
People's car. They could identify with a car like that. Just a bunch of stuff like actually tossed together.
Yeah.
You know?
It was kind of a Ferrari beater.
It's a Mexican Ferrari. Yeah, and all the little guys that envisioned, see, they could put themselves right in that seat with an old Model T. They could do that in Mexico if they just had Doug to work on it.
When the race started, it was in 5 laps, 5 days. And the first day from Chiapas up to Oaxaca was 333 miles. And there were 50 cars there, Ferraris, every car you can imagine, you know, Jaguars, and this, our car. And all the cars came across the line in Oaxaca. They waited for the Ferraris. Maggioli came in, Phil Hill. Where's the next Ferrari? It was us. We were the next car. The third car was, and all the Ferraris were scattered down the road back of us.
You don't know this is all mountains.
That was in the paper.
All mountains.
That was in the big newspaper in Mexico City, and they said the poor guys came in third.
So that was great. That was good. We enjoyed that, and the next day we did all right in Mexico City over the high mountain path and all that stuff. But we were in third place until we had a bad luck. One of our guys gave us a flat tire to put on at a pit stop. I was the lieutenant, I think.
This is a 2,000-mile road race that goes from sea level down in the jungle Or, by the way, we got parrots and birds in our carburetors. Every night, little bones and feathers out there, clean off out of the radiator. And then the same day, you would go up to 10,000 feet in Rio Frio, just outside of Mexico City. You'd have to chip the ice out of the carburetors. We stalled 2 or 3 times. I'd have to get out and chip the ice.
I know they've revised the race, revived, I should say, the race, and it isn't a flat-out race like it used to be, but there are sections, I guess, that are flat out.
Yeah.
Do you guys go back down there for that?
I went down on the one. In fact, I went down with Bruce's car, and we had a little problem. There were electrical problems that put us out of that contest. But the car ran good, and it ran quick. I had a little trouble with the brakes, but the big thing was the wiring. However they had it wired, it was wrong, and it burned up underneath. So the old Caballo, it's still very, very reliable, as is and as was. The thing was very reliable.
Sounds neat, too. We heard it at the California Hot Rod Reunion the year you had it down there, and it just sounds really neat.
It's a good running old Bessie, real good. And the big thing was it had endurance, and that's what Doug and I designed it. If we were doing the design on it, we designed it for endurance, because all we did was throw all the engines and stuff we knew, parts that we used in hot rodding. We knew it wouldn't break, and so we put it in. That worked.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I know you guys got to see a lot of people, and there's a lot of people that want to talk to you, but I want to thank both of you for taking a minute and sharing some history with us.
Hey, we enjoy it. We enjoy going to the press.
All right.
Okay, buddy.
Yeah.
Take it easy.
Uh-huh.
Good seeing you.
We'll have more from the Oakland Roadster Show in just a little while. One of the aspects of the collector car hobby that we've noticed over the past few years is that more and more women are getting involved and taking an active role. Check out this next very nice 68 Camaro owned by Lisa Richards, a car that she's owned since high school. And with some help from her father and boyfriend, well, they've got it into very nice shape.
Yeah, we built it as a high school project so I could have a car to drive, and I've had it ever since. Just love the car, so thought I better keep it.
That's great. So in 1981, when you got this car, it was probably not in the greatest of shape.
Oh, no, not at all. We had to completely restore it from the engine, transmission, rear end, brakes, tires, everything, and paint. So, yeah, it had a complete restoration back then, too. So
when was this latest restoration completed?
approximately 2 years ago, we redid it again, and it's been quite a project trying to get it back to the condition that it's in now. So,
Well, it's a beautiful car. What color would you call this?
well, it's called an Amulet Green. It's a PPG product that Aaron and Brian kind of put together for me, and we put it on the car with the black racing stripes. And it seems to highlight it really nicely with the chrome and everything on it.
Yeah, it's a very pretty color. As far as the engine, you're running a 350?
Yes, 350. It's a ZZ1 roller motor, 375 horsepower, and a 350 turbo transmission in it.
So it's not exactly stock.
Oh no, not at all.
Now, on the modifications, you've done most of the work, or a lot of the work yourself, right?
Yes, that's correct. My boyfriend and I have done most of the work ourselves. Of course, the machine work had to be done in a machine, but we've done most of it ourselves in the garage.
Right. Well, before we get to that engine, maybe we can step around to the other side. Maybe you can open the door and show us that beautiful interior, too.
Sure, sounds great.
The interior is very beautiful, and it looks like you have a B&M shifter there.
That's right. Yeah, it's a Quicksilver shifter, and it's real smooth to operate. And I really like it in regards to not having a 4-speed in there. The automatic is really nice to be able to just cruise in town with it.
A few extra gauges there, too, under the dash.
Oh yeah, that's always really important to know how your car is operating at the time, especially in the summer heat that we have up here. It really does get hot, so you have to really be watching that a lot. So.
What about factory items? Did it come with air or anything like that when it was new? Did you have to get rid of that?
Oh no, it didn't come with that. It's just stock, just the way you see it pretty much in the interior. Of course, we've done the seats a little differently than stock, and I don't know if you can see the embroidery that we've done in the seats, but everything else is pretty much stock in it. Just the way you see it.
That is a beautiful interior. I like the insets there that have been done.
Yeah, it's really nice in the summer. In other words, like I say, it gets really hot up here, and if you have all vinyl interior, it tends to be a little sticky, so the cloth is really nice.
All those ouch seats.
Yes.
Got some nice wheels on there.
Yeah, those are American Racing rims and Eagle Goodyear GT2 tires on there, 60 series, and I like the little wider tire to it. Makes it look a little beefier.
See a little bit of exhaust down there. Did you modify the exhaust system?
Just a little bit. We've got some hooker headers on there, and then we just went dual exhaust all the way to the back, and nothing really special on the exhaust. Pretty much stock.
I noticed the gas cap here does not look like an original one.
No, it's not. It's a locking gas cap, which wasn't something that was stock on a Camaro back in the 60s. It was an aftermarket product that is really nice to have because, you know, in today's society we need to have those type of things. So it is really nice as a locking gas cap because you can barely see that it is one.
There are a lot of products out there that are available for Camaros, right? Aftermarket products that are as good as the original, or maybe they've had some modifications like this done, right?
Oh, that's true, yes, because there's a lot of things that you can't even buy anymore, and they are only made as reproductions. So that's usually the only way that you can get some of these type of products that you need.
Well, Lisa, let's look at the fun stuff under the hood, if you don't mind.
Sure, not a problem. Let's open up the hood.
Now, if you can just describe a few things that you've done here. Looks like a lot of chrome under there and a few extra goodies.
Yeah, a lot of this isn't stock, as of course the engine has been replaced, and it is a late model Corvette engine. It's ZZ1 roller motor. But a lot of the things on the engine itself, when it came as a Corvette engine, is what you see pretty much here. But we have polished up the intake manifold, gotten a polished aluminum alternator and brackets, and a lot of the pulley assemblies that you see down below. And then there's an Edelbrock carburetor on there, and a lot of braided hoses, and the thermal coated headers that are on there also.
Did you have you done anything to the radiator?
Yeah, we actually took off the fan that is normally on the front of an engine and put on an electric fan, which is really handy because it cleans up the car a lot, and you don't see a lot of the fan mechanism in the shroud that you would normally have to have on an engine like this. So putting on an electric fan does really clean it up a lot.
As far as the brakes go, are they still stock, or have you modified them at all?
No, they're still stock. Everything on the car as far as suspension and braking is all still stock. We figured why change them out to disc brakes, because the standard brakes are pretty good. So.
Are they four-wheel drum or just front disc?
Four-wheel drum, yeah. And there is an alarm system on here. It's a Hornet alarm system, and it really does deter theft, so that's really important too. And getting into today's society where you have to worry about those type of things.
Oh yeah, when you get so much wrapped up in a car, it's time to start thinking about protection for it.
Oh, especially if you're going to take it to any sort of shopping malls or anything like that. You know, you have to be really careful where you park it and make sure that you do have some sort of security system on it.
Some very talented thieves out there.
Yes, there is. Peace of mind.
As you mentioned before, that paint job is quite beautiful, and you've also got the racing stripes on there. They're kind of subtle, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, and I wanted it that way because I wanted them to stand out with the hood ornaments that I have on the car, and I didn't want the stripes to be overpowering. I wanted it something where you walk up on the car and you just happen to notice that they're there.
And the scoops on the front, on the hood, are not working ones, right?
No, they're not. They're just for decoration. But I really think they make the car really stand out and give it a little bit more of a class to it.
Yeah, they look very nice.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, is this car you're going to, I mean, it's obviously probably a car that you're going to hang on to for a long, long time because it goes back a long ways with you.
Yeah, there's a lot of sentimental value in it with my dad and I building it the first time, and I've had it for so long now, and it was my first car that I will probably keep it forever. If not, maybe somebody offers me a lot of money, then maybe I might think about selling it, but otherwise, no, I'll keep it. And it is just a weekend driver now. It used to be a daily driver, but now it's just only when the sun is out.
Beautiful car. Well, thank you, Lisa, for sharing it with us today.
Sure. Thanks, Dale.
Now it's back to the Oakland Roadster Show, a world-class event that features some very unique items, like this outrageous wood motorcycle sculpture. created by Michael Cooper of Sevastopol. Michael used over 40 different domestic and exotic hardwoods for the color and grain of this piece. Not only is it beautiful, but all of the normal moving parts are functional. Other great cars include this 32 Ford Roadster. It was appropriately called Grape Nuts. Or maybe you'd like to get your hands on this trick radiator guitar. And motorcycles were well represented with several beautiful entries from Ron Sims of Hayward. And Arlen and Corey Ness of San Leandro. even got a quick look at John DiAgostino's beautiful 57 Imperial, Bob Young's Trick 37 Ford Roadster, and Sue and Jim Farcello's stunning 57 Buick. As usual, our only regret was we didn't get to cover every car and motorcycle at this year's Oakland Roadster Show. We just didn't have time. We'd like to really thank Don Tognati and George Haig for their hospitality, though, and we hopefully will be back at next year's Oakland Roadster Show. World of Collector Cars is brought to you by
Kimberly-Clark, makers of Noah, and now new Desktop softest flannel fabric. Desktop is the newest fabric from Kimberly-Clark, featuring incredible softness and breathability, plus 4 layers of protection for your pride and joy. Noah and new Desktop car covers from Kimberly-Clark. Rare Parts of Stockton, California. Rare Parts supplies suspension parts for all vehicles from 1930 to current year models, specializing in collector car suspension and small run manufacturing. Rare Parts, available through jobbers and repair and restoration shops across the country.
The world of collector cars is funded in part by Steel Rubber Products. Steel Rubber Products, manufacturing weather stripping and molded rubber parts for Chrysler Corporation, Packard, Independence, and General Motors Cars and Trucks. Steel Rubber Products, making parts for fellow hobbyists for nearly 30 years.
Introducing the new X-Side Orbital maintenance-free battery. The X-Side Orbital has been dropped, dragged, and drilled to prove it's tough enough for anything and perfect for your collector car. The new X-Side Orbital battery.
Gotcha.
Groovy as me.
Beautiful, baby. Gotcha.